Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the Carffice Podcast, my car office. I'm your host, Greg Gross. Please buckle up and enjoy the ride. So here we are, another episode. And are you surprised that we're back? I might be a little surprised, but I'm excited to be back. It's kind of like a gloomy day out here. It just started to rain here in good old Wisconsin. And I'm so happy that you decided just to jump back in. And don't worry, I don't, expect to get any tickets or go crazy or off-roading. This is just so much fun. I can just give so many different analogies for different things because we're sitting in my car. But I hope you enjoyed that first episode. I know it was just kind of introductory episode, and it wasn't a lot of crazy different things. Just shared with you why the Carffice and why now. And just want to remind you, please, if any of these episodes moving forward adds value to your life, or you believe someone in your life would enjoy these, pass it on, share it, whatever you want to do. Because you know what? The Carffice Podcast, I believe, is going to truly help some people out. I really do. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want to waste your time. So if I'm going to put these together in literally the best Carffice ever, then you can guarantee, especially here moving forward in starting with this episode, there's going to be some good stuff that we're going to talk about. So, hey, a little disclaimer. In the last episode, it was only about 18, 19 minutes long. Moving forward, I'm guessing these podcasts are going to be anywhere from 45 minutes to 60 minutes. This episode specifically, it might have to be part 2, part 3. I'm not sure. I'll let you know by the end of this. But the cool thing is this one right here is going to talk about all of the connection flights leading up to the season of life that my family's in right now. And right now we've been living with my parents the past 8 months. And on the next episode, unless this is a 2-part episode, I'll get into that, okay? But right now, I want to talk to you literally about all the connection flights. And like I shared with you on the last podcast, which I kind of contradicted myself, by the way. I don't know if you caught that. I said how, my family doesn't believe in my family doesn't believe in destinations. We believe in connection flights, but we just don't know how long the layover is going to be. But at the end of my podcast last week, I said, I hope this helps you with your, next destination. My whole thing at the end that I'll go into at the end. Because it just rhymes. It just sounds better. So I'm probably just going to keep that. So it might be confusing, but you know what? We're just going to continue to roll with this. We're going to continue to drive along, and you probably don't care as much as I do, so I'm just going to continue. Okay? Awesome. So here's the thing. I got my, look at this. Look how cool this is. I got my Wisconsin roots. I say roots. Anyone else say roots? Roots? I say roots. Got my Wisconsin roots hat on. Also got my Wisconsin shirt. Wisconsin. Sorry if that messed up my mic a little bit. Hey, we're just cruising along here, okay? So I thought there'd be no better way to start off this Carffice Podcast, even though I've already kind of started here, and we are already almost 4 minutes in, to kind of just give you a little jingle to start this all off. You ready? Here we go. In West Dallas, Wisconsin, I was born and raised. On the asphalt playing tag football is where I spent most of my days. You like that? You like that? Does that sound like a certain jingle that maybe some of you grew up with? You know what I'm saying? Will Smith, y'all, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You want to hear it one more time? In West Dallas, Wisconsin, I was born and raised. On the asphalt playing tag football is where I spent most of my days. There we go. That's all I got for you. That's it. I ain't going to continue. I didn't write anything else. But that's where I wanted to start today. I was born and raised because, again, this episode's all about my connection flights leading up to my current location. in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, but I was born and raised in West Allis, Wisconsin, born on July 24th, 1987. There you go. Now you know my age. And I had a great childhood. You know, I lived in the same house all first 18 years of my life, basically. And we grew up in this neighborhood in West Allis, Wisconsin. And we grew up in this neighborhood where it was called Candy Cane Lane, okay? So everyone from Wisconsin or that area knows what I'm talking about. But if you're not and you're listening to this in a different state or country or I don't know, Candy Cane Lane, basically all the houses, it was like a certain radius of blocks, and we all, hopefully most of us, we put up Christmas lights, and then hundreds, I mean thousands of cars would come through this Candy Cane Lane throughout the holiday season and look at our lights. So there's a little fun fact for you. Grew up on Candy Cane Lane. It was so festive. But no, I loved my childhood. Have a loving mother and father. So blessed, still do till this day. I know many people, maybe grew up in homes that didn't have both a mom or a dad there. I know how fortunate I am that I did have both and still do, and they're together. And so I never take that for granted. I have an older sister and brother. And again, I know this is like a live podcast, so I'm not going to share anything that, without their permission. And so that's basically all I'm going to tell you. I have an older sister and brother. I'm the youngest. I'm the baby of the family, which had its perks. I am not going to deny that I was a mama's boy. Okay. I was a mama's boy, and I got my way a lot, and I would cry, and I played that baby card to the T. Okay. There it is. Any other babies out there? And let's see, what else? Candy Cane Lane, grew up, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I wrestled. I was a wrestler. I played soccer throughout most of my life, and then till freshman year. And then I wrestled. I wrestled from middle school through high school. Love the sport of wrestling. I'll get back into that in a little bit. But I love what the sport of wrestling taught me through the years. It taught me discipline, determination, grit, fortitude. A lot of different things, just my work ethic, and still love the sport of wrestling to this day. I was never this great, awesome wrestler, above average, worked real hard, but just really gained a lot of value out of the sport. I believe just the sport of wrestling is probably one of the greatest sports out there, just because what it teaches you and what it can do for you long term. So there's my little plug for wrestling. This next year, my son Ellis is going to get introduced to it for the first time. So we'll see where that goes. Hey, you know what? You don't really know where wrestling goes with someone at that age. He's only going to be 4 or 5 until they're about 7 or 8. I never got to experience wrestling until 7th grade, but I'm excited to introduce it to my son, which, by the way, I don't even know if it's going to start thundering out here and lightning. I don't know if you can hear the rain. You can probably see the rain on the window a little bit there. Hey, this is the Carffice, y'all. I mean, rain, sleet, or shine, we gonna do this. And so, I mean, if a tornado comes, I might shut this thing off, or maybe I'll just keep recording. Who knows? Okay, anyways, I digress. Here we go. Wrestling, high school, boom. I don't really know what else to share with you really about my childhood, because there's just a lot to share with all this connection flights leading up to this season of life that we're currently in. But I think another huge thing, obviously, I want to share with you, that's a huge part of my story that I'm going to share again in even more detail someday when I launch the Team Never Walk podcast this summer or fall. But another big part of my life is I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease in 5th grade. Still have it to this day. Was very sick when I was diagnosed. Very scary season of my life. They found in 5th grade, ulcers all throughout my esophagus, my large and small intestine. And it was a very severe case at a very young age. And, I was scared. I was in and out of the hospital, a lot of different medications. And as I grew up with that through the years, I truly believe it obviously formed me and who I am today. It's been a huge part of my life. Like I said, I still have it. But long story short, with my Crohn's, I battled off and on. That's a lot where my never walk story comes from and my perseverance story. But long story short with that, like I said, I can't go too much detail today, is I was actually in 2013, 2014 is where I almost lost my life to Crohn's. I got so sick. I got down to 130 pounds by the new year of 2014. And if you follow me on social media, again, Gregory Lee Gross on Facebook or Greg_Gross on Instagram, I post about it often. Actually, I'm coming up on a 7-year celebration anniversary or something I'm about to share with you. But, I almost lost my life in 2013, 2014. My wife was pregnant with our first child at the time, Emerson. And my wife was taking care of me, working full time, and I was slowly dying. With Crohn's, see, the thing is like your body doesn't take on nutrients, and anything I ate just went right through me. And so I'm kind of like fast forwarding here, and I'll come back a little bit here in a second, but like just so I can share with you this extent of my Crohn's disease. But the thing is like I got so sick that I had to be put on TPN, a PICC line that went into my arm. I don't know if you can see the scar on here. Probably not. I had a PICC line that went into my arm, that went to my heart, and it pumped 1,200 calories into my body every day for a couple months just to stay alive. And so it was crazy. Doctor said, hey, we can't do anything else for you. You're going to die unless we take out your large intestine. Hello. So April 18th of 2014, I had my whole large intestine taken out all the way down through my rectum. There we go. Hey, this is my Carffice podcast. So, there's really no TMI. The thing is, and so for this April 18th, this 7-year celebration of a whole new life, because it saved my life. I now live with an ileostomy. If you want to Google that, go right ahead. That's up to you. But, and I'll go into way more detail about that, like I said, at a later time. But lived with an ileostomy now for 7 years, and basically go to the bathroom in a bag, and that's my life. But I'm grateful because I'm alive, and I've been married almost for 12 years now, and I have 3 beautiful kids, like I shared with you before, and whole new quality of life. And from that, I was able to, that goes more into my other health story, which I'll continue that in a little bit. So let me back up. That's my Crohn's story in a nutshell, without taking up too much time, because we'll have plenty of time to talk about that later too, maybe in another Carffice podcast. But I just kind of wanted to give you a good brief overview of my life of 33 years. It's hard. I feel like I'm going all over the place already, but just want to get it out there. So Crohn's disease since 5th grade all the way up to now. And it's been a huge part of my life through high school, through everything I've gone through. And let's see. Where should I go next? Well, college. Well, no, in high school was huge formative years of my life. That's where I found out, initially where what I wanted to pursue with my life. I grew up in a faith-filled home. I love Jesus. I gave my life to Jesus at a very young age. That led into being very involved in my youth group, and God just doing a lot of awesome, crazy things in my life. Even one time healing me where I didn't have to have surgery back in middle school. They're going to have to take out a piece of my large intestine, and I went off to a winter retreat. And at that winter retreat is where I felt I experienced Jesus in a whole new way, just his presence, his spirit, and to the point where he healed me. Yes, he healed me, where I was supposed to have surgery like a week or two after that retreat, and I went in for results after that, and it was gone. Like the little fistula that was in my large intestine that they were going to have to remove wasn't there anymore. And so from a very young age, I experienced Jesus. I felt the presence of God, and that has forever changed my life. And I was really involved in my youth group. I just always loved being at youth group, and so basically in middle school is where I felt a calling to go into youth ministry and work with students in some capacity for the rest of my life. And at that time, it was all I knew was vocational ministry, but obviously now at 33, there's so much more to ministry in the students than just inside the church. But I went off then to North Central University for college in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Man, those were some of the best years of my life. That's where I met my wife. Actually, I met my wife on MySpace leading up to that. Anyone remember MySpace? Come on now, right? So, funny story is my wife's friend, who I didn't know either, added me as a friend on MySpace back in the day. And I went to my wife's friend's page, and on my wife's friend's page, she was on her top 8. So I saw my wife, Courtney, on someone's top 8. I'm like, ooh, that's a one pretty girl right there. And I don't know, I messaged her. You better believe I messaged her. I wanted her on my top 8, if you know what I mean. And I found out that she was going to the same college that I was already attending in Minneapolis, Minnesota, North Central University, to pursue my youth ministry degree. And we got talking, and I said, hey, I can show you around the town, show you around the city sometime. And boom, she like ghosted me. Ghosting wasn't a thing back then, but she ghosted me. I'm like, okay, well, I must have been too forward. Well, I apologized, and then like a few weeks later, she messaged me back. And I apologized, and then she messaged me back from that, and then we actually got on AIM. So we went from MySpace to AIM Instant Messenger. Anyone remember that? Holy cow. I kind of feel old. I know I'm only 33, but I'm dating some stuff here because some of you youngins, whatever that youngin age is. And we talked on there. And then I got from AIM to the phone. If I got her to the phone, it was a sealed deal. I'm telling you. Sealed deal. Got her to the phone the summer of what summer was that? Summer of 2007. And the rest is history. The rest is history. We started dating when she became a freshman at North Central in fall of 2000. Oh gosh, not fall of 2000. Yeah, fall of 2007. And we dated a year, engaged for a year, and now we've been married almost 12 years. And so a lot of amazing time at North Central. It took me 5 years. Hey, I ain't ashamed. It took me 5 years. Was able to save some more money. And have so many relationships from Minneapolis, Minnesota. All you people from Minneapolis, Minnesota that I knew through college, that I still talk to, shout out to you guys. Love you all. Served at an amazing church, Emmanuel Christian Center during that time. I had amazing leaders and got to just, do what I love to do and learn so much in that season of my life. Graduated from North Central in 2011. We're getting there, people. How long has this been? Okay, 17 minutes. That's not bad at all. And graduated in, oh my goodness, when did I graduate? May of 2011. Actually accepted my first youth ministry position. Now we're moving along. Did I miss anything? No, I talked about birth, West Allis, high school. Okay, now I talked about wrestling. College. We're in college now. Already just talked about college a little bit. We're cruising, people. We're cruising. No pun intended. No pun intended. If you're watching this, again, on YouTube, you get a lot of cool little extra things. Like right now, I'm moving my hands back and forth like I'm driving. But if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever, you're not seeing that. So go check it out there too. Okay? All right, I'm done doing that. Let's see. Where was I? And this podcast thing is a dangerous idea. I am just all over the place. Thank you so much for your grace. Okay, graduated May of 2011, but I accepted my first youth ministry position in Delano, Minnesota of March of 2011. It was like a dream come true. I waited my whole life to do this and jumped in. I was there for about 11 months, and I'm not going to, in this podcast, share all the details about what happened there. Actually, I already shared the details, basically, of what happened there in a different on my buddy's podcast called Church Hurts. And just because that reality is, I went through some major church hurts in the first couple years of my vocational ministry journey that I really grew through, but just some really unfortunate things happened, and things were not handled very well. And but if you want that link, you let me know. I can send that to you, share that with you. Or you can just look up Church Hurts Podcast by Josh McElmore. Church Hurts by Josh McElmore, and scroll down. I was one of the first episodes. Greg Gross, Church Hurts. There you go. Shout out to Josh, the man. Let me see here. Yeah, so accepted that. It was awesome. I love Delano, Minnesota, all my Delano people. And God was moving. It was a really exciting, fast-paced 11 months. And it was really cool. I loved being involved in that school. That's where I actually started wrestling coaching for the first time, had an opportunity there. And but one thing led to the next, and just things went down. I know I'm being really vague right now. It's not that I don't want to share it with you. It's just, just this podcast isn't just about that. So I didn't want to, again, that'll be maybe for another podcast, or you can go listen to it on Church Hurts. Because if I shared every little story in detail, this would be way longer than 45 minutes to an hour, and I don't know where this is going to end up yet today. So, with all that being said, let's see. Just went through a really hard transition, was hurt pretty bad. I definitely, learned some things and grew through it too, and knew I could have done some things differently. But for the most part, it's just things weren't handled right there, and got the short end of the stick, and kind of moved on to, which then kind of went to a pretty dark season of my life, and really hard season, really struggled with that. And but then took another new position about a few months later in Beloit, Wisconsin. Beloit fam, how's it going? And another, really, really fulfilling, great season of my life. But once again, things kind of went down after about 15 months. Got short end of the stick too. Things were not handled right with some of the leadership and all that kind of stuff. And I share more about that in the Church Hurts podcast again. Which again, I really want to be clear. I have no problem sharing these things in an honoring, in a very, in a very honoring, respectful way. And I did that in the other podcasts, and I probably will again someday, and maybe in another podcast. And it's going to be in my book that I'm writing too, Never Walk. So it's, again, I just want to be sensitive with the time today on this specific episode, if that makes sense. So I know I'm kind of stringing you along. It's like, oh, I want to know. It's not that I don't want to tell you. It's just, it's a lot. It's a lot, my friends. It's a lot. And it was hard. It was really hard. I just want you to know it was a very hard couple years of my life, actually from Delano and then Beloit, and transitioning out of both of those positions within 2 years. That's actually what it was very stressful. It was very hard, even though during those times and when I was there, it was awesome. Built so many amazing relationships, still friends with people from both areas, and very formative years for me too, for me and my wife. They just ended both unfortunately, they just ended badly. And unfortunately, that happens too often for young pastors in different areas, and just different things that go on. Where was I going with that? Oh, that led into, how I said my Crohn's disease erupted in 2013, 2014? Well, that was because of all the stress I internalized from transitioning out of those two tough vocational ministry positions, and that's actually what erupted my Crohn's. Like, that's what, because I internalized stress, and that's what I did, and that's what erupted my Crohn's disease, and what caused me to become very, very sick, and which led to me almost dying, and led to me having my large intestine removed. So that's very significant information that I want you to know, part of my journey, and of where I am today. Okay, where I am today. So let's see. After that, I'll just pick it up from there. Actually, that's a good place to pick it up from, because after I transitioned out of Beloit, that was in the summer of 2013. That's when I was starting to get really sick, and that's when I got a call from one of my mentors. Shout out to John Brown, where he been one of my mentors since high school. I'm very grateful for him. And let's see, he called me up and said, "Hey, Greg," I was actually on the toilet at the time. I got like C. diff. Anybody know what C. diff is? Well, I got that like a few times before I was like basically dying. I know, I'm just telling you, maybe TMI again, but I don't care. This is my podcast here. Called me up on the toilet. He goes, "Hey, Greg, I know you just gone through really hard last couple years, but I got the, there's no pay, but I got the perfect job for you, and you're perfect for it." hey, he was honest with me from the front, and I trusted him, and that's where I learned about good old Burlington, Wisconsin, which, by the way, even though I grew up in West Allis, Wisconsin, by the way, people call that Dirty Dallas. Hey, Dirty Dallas. Hey, sorry, side note, holy cow, I'm going to have to kind of remember how to digress from this one. But funny story about Dirty Dallas in West Dallas, which I don't know why I was always called Dirty Dallas. I don't know. But in high school, we made shirts that said Dirty Dallas on it. I think my senior year, if any of my class of 2006 is listening. And on the back was our last names. Well, my last name's Gross. And so on the back of the Dirty Dallas shirt, it said Gross, which was hilarious, I thought. So, all right, let's come back here. So Burlington, I found out about Burlington, and they're planting church. Well, it was a multi-site campus from Journey Church. Journey Church is now 4 locations: Kenosha, Beach Park, Burlington, Lithuania. But this was the first multi-site in Burlington, and I had the great opportunity to help be kind of a pioneer of that location, and came in, just, served my butt off, and I delivered pizzas during that season of life, because they weren't able to do anything financially at the time, and but I trusted in the leadership, I trusted in my mentorship, and it was a great opportunity for me to work for somebody that I looked up to since high school, and I knew about the church too growing up and all that kind of stuff, and so it was a really awesome opportunity. And honestly, at that point in my life, just here it is, I was either going to quit vocational ministry because how hurt I was and all the stuff and stress I went through, and I was really sick, or I was hang it up or keep going. And in that season of life, I knew I needed to keep going. And so I did. And so me and my wife were living, actually, that's the first time we were living with my parents in Oconomowoc, Ashepin, Wisconsin, during July of 2013 through December of 2013, because after transitioning out of Beloit, we moved back in with my parents, and I was really sick, and we had nowhere to go, and all that kind of stuff. It was a really hard season, and so we didn't have any kids at that time. But we commuted to Burlington a few times a week, Sundays and Wednesdays and Thursdays, and crazy season of life. Man, I can't believe I did that when I was basically dying. But I just, I don't know. That's just kind of who I am. That's the Enneagram 3 in me, the achiever, the driven, the DI, whatever, on this profile. So, and then that's when I almost died then in January 2014. And then obviously I couldn't do vocational ministry and for a while, for 6 months, because I was recovering and was really sick. But then in the summer of 2014, I believe, that's when I got the great opportunity to be hired on at Youth for Christ, which is a worldwide organization. That's a missional organization where it goes into the schools or inner city or juvenile justice systems or whatever, all different type of programs to reach students outside the 4 walls. And one of my longtime also mentors and another a father figure in my life offered and gave me that job. Osmar, shout out to you. Just saw him the other day, actually, crying my eyes out because I have to say goodbye to all these people right now because I'm moving. If you didn't know, that's kind of the point of this whole Carffice initially. And so that was awesome because I got to do part-time now work in the 4 walls and part-time outside the 4 walls in ministry opportunities. And I really started to grow and learn. And any ministry people out there inside or outside the 4 walls doing missional ministry, missionary type ministry or vocational ministry, there's no such thing as part-time. So I was like working 40 to 60 hours a week. My wife loved it. And so, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. But I really started to learn like kind of what my lane was in that season of my life and what I really enjoyed. I enjoyed the vocational side of it. There's so many things on that side I liked, but I really, really was loving the missional side and being in the schools and getting involved in a wrestling team again at Burlington High School. And I just got done serving my 7th year on the wrestling team, just ended this past winter. And but obviously now moving to Erie, Pennsylvania, having to close that chapter is really hard because the wrestling team was a huge part of my life over these last 7 years. Just love those students and love, just love what I got to be a part of and see even God do inside the four walls, but even more so outside the four walls, because I also got to talk to the girls and boys soccer teams for years and saw boys and girls before their home games, soccer games, got to talk to them, motivate them, encourage them, lead many to Jesus. Just hundreds, probably over thousands of students that I got to be a part of in those 7 years in the Burlington community. And that is honestly one of the hardest parts of transitioning out of that. And, obviously everything, all the transition, it's all God's, leading in our next steps and connection flights, but doesn't mean it's easy. Doesn't mean it's easy, people, obviously. And so, man, I don't know if I skipped ahead. I don't know where I was at with all that. Yeah, I don't know where I was at with all that, but I guess we're all go now. We're over 30 minutes in here, so we're good. Let's see. Where do I want to go? Guys, this is real life right now. Like, seriously, this is how raw and fresh this podcast is, and how it's not necessarily the easiest thing in the world because I'm all over the place. I mean, I have a little bit of bullet points right now, but that's it. That's why this is just like, boop, unscripted in a lot of ways. Okay, where do I want to go? Oh, okay, so anyways, dual part-time Youth for Christ, Journey Church for 6 years, and then, man, this shift happened. This shift happened within me, within my family. Oh, when was that? Trying to give you time frames. I don't even know. 2018, 2019. And God was just starting to do a new thing. And in my heart, in my family, in my wife. And these different prophetic words came in where God was just making it evident that my time and my season of vocational ministry was about to be over. And doing dual missional ministry inside the schools and then also inside the four walls, I started to realize kind of, again, what more my passion was, what more my lane was. And I really, it's nothing against vocational ministry inside the four. When I say vocational, that means inside the four walls. There's nothing against that. And I enjoyed many parts, but I just knew it wasn't how I was wired anymore and where God was leading me and my family. And so I actually resigned from Journey Church Burlington when was that? July of 2019, August of 2019. And I just, one thing led to the next, and I knew I needed to resign and step down. And there's other things I learned from that, other things I can share at a later time, transitional type of stuff, and some encouragements and things I can share, but not for this episode. Again, and so the main thing, I transitioned out of that. I stayed with Youth for Christ for another year. It's a missional organization, so I raised my funds and people believed in what I was doing, so I raised my funds for that, did that for another year, and then COVID happened, and I just felt like, you know what? It's time for that. God did it in steps. He really did, and I'm grateful for that. But then, when was that? July of 2020, I resigned from Youth for Christ, and I just knew it was time for my family to move out of Burlington, Wisconsin, which was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But everything from vocational and YFC and moving out of Burlington was one of the hardest things I've ever done because I just fell in love so much with the community. And hopefully, if you're in Burlington, my Burlington family, all of you, from Journey Church to Youth for Christ to Burlington High School to the wrestling team to the soccer teams, just know how much dearly I love you guys and how much I miss you. And actually, I think I'm getting an opportunity here at the end of April to speak potentially to the girl, or beginning of May, before we move, to speak to the girls soccer team one more time. Never walk, here we come. But other than that, just know I love you guys and I'll miss you guys so much. And thank you for all the years and the time. There's my sappy little sentimental plug. So yeah, with all that, where am I at? Holy cow. Oh, well, that leads into what kind of happened within vocational ministry during that season, and also what made it possible for us to transition out of vocational ministry. Like, hello, like, what are we doing? How are we living? How are we surviving? Where's the finances? All that kind of stuff. Great question. So I'm going to back up, and this will probably be after I share this, we'll wrap up this episode. I'm going to back up to, so remember when I was sick and I almost died in 2014? Well, okay, because I almost did. Well, after I got down 130 pounds and I was wasting away, and by the way, April 18th, I will be sharing this month, April 18th, on my social media, I'll be celebrating my 7 years since I had surgery. And you can see pictures of when I was, holy cow, sick to now. But after I got surgery, I mean, I couldn't eat anything, guys. Like, that's why I was wasting away. Well, because nutrients weren't attaching to me. But once I got my surgery, I was able to eat. I was able to eat, and I ate anything I wanted, because I told myself, Greg, you almost died, so you can eat whatever you want. And so I did. And I packed on the pounds. I went from 130 pounds to 215 pounds within 4 years, to April of 2018. Well, around that season of my life, one of my buddies reached out to me. We were talking about health. Him and his wife are health coaches, and him and his wife lost like 80 pounds within 6 months. I'm like, I'll just be serious. I'm like, what kind of crack are you on? Like, what in the world? What in the world? And so, there's all that skepticism and just thoughts going through my mind. And he kind of shared with me a program that could help me get healthy in my nutrition, set my habits straight, all that kind of stuff. And well, a couple weeks after that conversation, I stood in front of the mirror and I looked on the scale and I looked at myself in front of the mirror, and this thought went through my mind, and I had to stop lying to myself. I had a broken body, but now I had a broken body when I almost died, but I developed a broken mind in those 4 years, and I had that excuse. Well, Greg, you almost died, so you can eat whatever you want. Well, after that conversation and in the mirror that day in beginning of April, I believe 2018, I made a decision. I said, Greg, you can no longer make the excuse that you almost died and you can eat whatever you want. Because many times we're not where we want to be many times we're not where we need to or want to be physically. It's because we're not where we need to be mentally. And I definitely was not where I needed to be mentally. That was a mindset shift. I called my buddy back. He recommended a program. I jumped on that program, lost 35 pounds in about 10, 11 weeks. Never went back. I mean, this program changed my life. It changed my mind. It changed my energy, my sleep, my confidence. I was a better dad. I was a better husband. And it literally changed my lifestyle towards optimal health. So I'm like, holy cow, this program is legit. And I need to share this with other people. So I became a health coach in July of 2019. And since then, I've been able to help over 300 plus people in 21 different states in 2.5 years. So why do I share all that with you is to let you know, during that time, I had no idea God was setting my family up. I had no idea, because at that time, I was still all in with Youth for Christ, with Journey Church. I was loving what I was doing. Yeah, there's always pros and cons and difficulties and different things like that, but God brought health coaching into my family's life, and it was crazy. It just began to be another ministry. Like, I was leading people to Jesus through health coaching during different free health assessments, and as I had clients and taking care of them, and God was showing His hand was evident on it. And the coolest part about it is like impacting people's lives, like seeing people like I had a best friend go from 415 pounds to 250. My parents have had amazing success. I could tell you story after story after story. People getting off blood pressure medication, diabetic medications, fathers becoming fathers again and running around with their kids, kids getting their parents back, spouses getting their spouses back, grandkids getting their grandparents back. Just crazy stories I could share with you. I mean, for the next hour, if we wanted to. But the point is, being a health coach has been one of the most exhilarating, fulfilling things I've ever done. It sounds weird, but it's addicting, helping people become better versions of themselves. Because, I mean, I'm at a point in my life where I have this belief system where people need to come to a point. Everyone at some point needs to come to, I have this belief that you have to make a decision. A decision means to kill off. We all have to make a decision. I had to make a decision. At some point in our lives, we have to turn from our amateur ways and go pro in our body, our mind, our heart, and our spirit. And that's really what this program did for me, and now I get to do that for others, and it's been incredible. So by impacting people's lives, obviously there's compensation involved, and the greater the impact, the more impact, you add value to others, it adds value to you. And God has been multiplying that like crazy, especially in this season of COVID. Our business even grew through that. And it's been incredible impacting people's lives. And so God, that's what allowed us to transition out of vocational ministry and out of Youth for Christ, is because God gave us this vehicle where we can continue to health coach people. And now I also life coach people on the side as well, just coach people. This concept of coaching has exploded over these past 2 or 3 years. And I have this other belief now, that I believe anyone can benefit from a coach. I mean, when people ask me, well, what do you do as a coach? I help people get to places they can't get to on their own. Because if you could have done it on your own, you would have done it already. I needed a coach. I have multiple coaches in my life that continually help me and develop me into the person I am today. And I believe like we can become better versions of ourselves. A better us will better others. And that's where I really truly believe a coach comes in. And so that's what me and my family have been able to do and create and add value to our lives as we're adding value to other people's lives. And it's been unbelievable, my friends. It's been unbelievable. And that's what's allowed us to create another ministry, other impact. That's what's allowing us, honestly, to move across the country to Erie. I mean, because I can health and life coach from anywhere. Like I already said, I have clients in 21 different states. And so really, that's an answer to prayer. My wife gets to live, and I know I'll kind of go into this again in a different episode, but my wife gets to live with her closer to her family for the first time in 14 years since I swooped her up on MySpace and then stole her to the Midwest after we were both done with college. And we've been here ever since. I'm a Midwest boy through and through. I mean, Wisconsin, right? I mean, roots. That's why. See why I'm wearing this today? It was intentional. It was very intentional. And so that's kind of what led me into what I call missional entrepreneurship. I kind of like, some people, if you know Paul from the Bible, he was like a tent maker. So that's what I truly believe we are now. We're like tent makers. And he was like a missional entrepreneur. I mean, Paul went from place to place to place. He funded himself and had people come around him. And that's what Paul did. And that's really what we're going to get to do. And I'll go into that in a different episode sometime, just share with you my family's dreams and goals and how we've seen this health and life coaching be a vehicle for our family, where we want to get to a place once, we're able to pay down, our debts and, get a home someday and all these kind of things. I'll say it this way. What we truly believe, what we have in our hands has no ceiling. Has no ceiling when it comes to impact and income. Okay? Obviously, more impact, more income. But here's the cool thing. Once you make more impact and more income, my belief is you can just continue to make more impact. Because, again, here's some of my beliefs about money. Money isn't bad. Okay? It's what you do with it. And money in the hands of good people do great things. And also sometimes people say, well, money changes people. No, money doesn't change people. It just heightens what they already are. So if they're bad with the money or they're a bad person, they're just going to continue to be more bad. If they're generous, they're going to continue to be more generous. And so, I'll just give you a little glimpse is we truly believe God wants to use us in some crazy ways as we continue to move forward with this vehicle where, I'll just say it this way, like I'm so blessed by vocational ministry and people that have, tithed and poured in financially into my family over the years, especially with Youth for Christ too, and all you givers out there that gave faithfully every single month, and you sent in your investment into God's kingdom and in my family for us to be able to just survive and live, right? Well, the thing is, there's a purpose for that. We need people in every different direction. Well, the thing is, personally, my family just has gotten to the point where we don't want other people to write us checks anymore. We want to be the people that are writing the checks. Like, we want to be the people writing the checks. Like, for instance, I know this might sound crazy to some people, but it's not to us because we truly believe we're going to do this someday. We want to write a check for $1 million someday and just give it to an organization. We just do. I'd love to plant a youth center someday. like not have to like run it, but plant a youth center somewhere in some city, after school programs, some faith-based stuff where students can come to a safe place and learn and grow and dream and develop as young men and women to add value to this world. I mean, you could think of it as something like something similar like after school programs, or how like a boys and girls club is set up. But I want you to even think greater and outside the box. And I don't have all the details figured out, but I'm just telling you, I say all that because I think that's the pioneer in me, and that's the entrepreneur in me, where man, we are just living this abundance mindset where we just want to go forward and really bless as many people as possible and keep adding value to many people as possible and impact as many people as possible. And we truly believe God has given us that vehicle, and it's been growing over the past few years. And so that's our new ministry. That's where the missional entrepreneurship comes in. That's where I love, where I have the freedom and the ability even to do like, where it goes into doing like a podcast and building my brand, Team Never Walk, and writing a book, and writing another book with my wife, which we'll tell you about that someday too. And so all these different things. That's the entrepreneur in me. Also, I just don't like having a boss, to be serious. It's not against anybody else or any past bosses. It wasn't them, it's me. That's just how I'm wired. And all you entrepreneurs out there, you know what I'm talking about. And there's nothing against anybody who's not an entrepreneur. We need people in every area of this world and direction. We need entrepreneurs, and we need people that work in other jobs and in other fashions. And so hopefully that made sense. But that is basically my connection flights to now. And that's what made things possible. I went from birth in West Dallas, Wisconsin. I was born and raised, remember that? To West Dallas, to high school, to wrestling, to college years, to a little bit of me and my wife's story, to vocational ministry from Delano, to Beloit, to Burlington, Youth for Christ, to missional entrepreneurship, to my health coaching, to life coaching, to podcasting, to writing books, to, which by the way, I'm bald. You see this? If you're on, I account this to all my years with students. No, I'm just joking. Kinda. Anyways, if you not watching this on YouTube, you didn't see me take my hat off. I took my hat off and I showed everybody how bald I am. So, wow, I really just go into some random tangents, don't I? You're welcome. You are so welcome. But man, we have just covered so much today. It's just been a lot, and I've been all over the place, and you guys are just so wonderful. You are such a wonderful audience. You're so patient. You're so quiet. Thanks for being so quiet as I'm just talking to you. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything more. I know. And I also know I'm cheesy. So I had one buddy tell me after he listened to my first podcast, he's like, yeah, it was great. It's all the Gregisms and you say all these dad things and dad jokes and quirks and isms, Gregisms, I think he called them. So you guys are welcome. By the way, I should have did this before, but I want to do a quick shout out to one of my newest mentors, Manuel Reyes, and him and his crew, Brandon Smith, and Manny's wife, Angela. You guys are killing it over at Knights of the Round Table. And Manny, he's the one that kind of like pushed me for this Carffice podcast, and I want to say thank you. I'm grateful for that. I'm really enjoying it. I know this is just episode number 2, and man, I talked about a lot on this episode, a lot. And hopefully you know now that it's almost 50 minutes long, you know why during this episode I had to like make stories shorter and why I couldn't really go into a lot of detail. Otherwise, this would be a couple hours long, or it would be multiple episodes. And I didn't really want to make this into multiple episodes because the other episodes I can just do at a later time once I go through these first 5, which by the way, again, this episode is all about the connection flights to now. Those I just shared with you literally birth to now very quickly. A lot of details. And so what do you have to look forward to coming up? This is what you have to look forward to coming up. My next episode is going to all be about Oconomowoc in Ashipin. These last 8 months, I'm going to share with you, just deep dive, what it's looked like, the pros, the cons, the highlights, the lowlights, everything like that. That's what my next episode is going to be about. So you want to come back and come along on that ride. And then we're going to go into Erie and how that all came about, give you way more detail about Erie, why that started. And then we're going to go into what we're going to be looking forward to. So my 5th episode, what we're going to be looking forward to, Erie and beyond. And then again, my passenger friends, I have no idea. Maybe I'll kind of digress and go back to some things that's I went through leading up to everything. I don't know. You tell me. How about you tell me what you'd like me to talk about? Comment, message me, hit me up. If you heard anything on this episode where I was like, hey, sorry, I don't have time to talk about that, and you want me to talk about that, or maybe a different topic, hey, now's a great time for me to give that plug. You tell me what you want me to talk about in the Carffice, okay? Or if you want me to have a guest, I might have some guests. If you want me to have some guests right back here, they can literally sit in that seat. That'd be cool. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's really the best way I could do it. But I think that's about it. I think we're about done. That's crazy. Another episode in the books. I'll say this again. If you enjoyed this, if you got any value out of this, if you laughed, peed your pants, if it gave you any type of emotion, I don't know if it would have made you cry, excited, or if it made you mad, well, then you just know you don't have to watch this again. Or if you didn't like it, didn't do anything for you. I mean, that's fine. Keep going. You're not going to offend me. Jump in another ride, right? But the cool thing is, if this added value to your life in any way, please share it. Please like it. Please subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching YouTube, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, post it out, share it out. If this is intriguing in any way, again, my promise to you is I will continually deep dive into things in my life as we go on this, on these rides together. I will start, taking little bits of my life, and we'll take just certain specific topics, things that I brought up today that I said I didn't have time for, and we will dig into those. I'm just really wanting to get everyone up to speed. Get it? Up to speed? Okay, there we go. I don't know what that was, but you're welcome. And then we can go back. So that is my promise to you, and I think that's all I got. I think that is all I got for now. So I get to go into my ending, which, let's see if I know it by heart. I probably don't. But that is all. My passenger friends. Nope, I don't have it. I don't have it by heart, but I have it right here again. All right, my passenger friends, I hope you enjoyed your ride today in my Carffice. I hope it helped you in your current location or as you move forward towards your future destination or connection flight. But that is all. That is all. Like, do you see what's happening here? Do you see how hard it is to stink and close down a podcast when you don't have something memorized? My goodness gracious. Because if you're watching this on YouTube, you see that I'm trying not to use my notes here at the end, but it's only the 2nd episode, so I know you don't care. So I'm going to use my notes. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever, then, I'm telling you what's going on. So, all right, my passenger friends, I hope you enjoyed your ride today in my Carffice. Hope it helped you in your current location or towards your next destination, connection flight. Until next time, be well.